It is impossible to summarize how much the last 6 years here have meant to me in a 10-minute talk, but I can only start by saying that the overwhelming feeling I had at the end of it was a huge sense of gratitude to all of you. This is a picture of my family, and I have to start with them because I'm blessed with a truly wonderful family. This is my mom, my dad, my brother George, my sister Claire. There's something about graduating that brings a lot of emotions that are very unbecoming of a surgical resident. I've never done that. My mother and my father are the two most unselfish people I know. And Mom, starting with you, when I was a surgical intern 6 years ago, at the end of the year, one of my chiefs at the time told me I was a decent intern because I didn't complain too much. Well, you're the only one here who knows that that's absolute nonsense. Because I was calling you. She's the only one who knows about the time after the end of a 30-hour shift when I sat down to drink some coffee and put in my final orders, and someone told me I wasn't allowed to have coffee in the patient care area. I flew off the handle, threw my cup of coffee into the garbage can, and stormed off and called my mother to tell her I thought I was going crazy. Or the time on thoracic night float, when I kicked an elevator door and broke my toe. So, to the new interns coming in, you all will have your breaking point. It's okay to call your mother, just don't call your chief resident. In seriousness though, my mother has been forever a source of unquestioning love and support for my entire life. I'm so grateful. About my dad, there's no more powerful example for me than my father. I learned a lot about strength from my dad. I remember when in grade school how dejected I was when I couldn't do a single pull-up in the physical fitness test. So my dad installed a pull-up bar in my closet door, and it became our tradition for the next 10 years to do pull-ups together every night. My father taught me a lot more than physical strength. He taught me through his own example that true strength of a person is not fancy or flashy. Figuratively, it's not at all measured in pounds lifted per day. In pounds lifted all at once. But it's measured in how many pounds you can lift in a day, a year, or a lifetime. That means showing up day after day, giving your all, year after year. It's the most powerful example for anyone entering a surgical career. The entire tone of this residency program is clearly set from the top, and we all feel so fortunate that Dr. Zinner, Dr. Smink, and Dr. Ashley are at the top. There were times during residency when my commitment to this program wavered, and thanks to these three, and especially the hours spent in Dr. Smink's office, their commitment to me just never wavered, and I'm here today. I love this entire faculty. Every one of you has been beyond great to me, and I will carry away something from each of you. I cannot thank you all individually today, but please know how much I appreciate everything you have done. I need to mention a few special mentors who have gone well above and beyond for me. No one is more deserving of the Matson Award this year than Dr. King. Surgical residency, as some have said, is like a family in many ways. And Dr. Kinney is like a father to me and to all of us. He's someone I've gone to and will continue to go to for serious advice about not only career but about life. Dr. Wong is another especially great mentor to me, especially during my time at the VA, when he spent several hours sitting down with me talking about my career. He's a true surgical educator, and always with proper supervision, he's willing to let us really do a case, and sometimes with a junior resident. He's willing to let us struggle. I prepared harder and learned more from the 40 cases I did with him than I did from any other case of residency. It made a great difference. There's not a better role model for me than Dr. Clancy. He's also the first person I called when I had a sick family member in this hospital, and his immediate response was that he would do anything for me. I got a letter last Christmas from one of his more complicated patients who I helped care for, and on the back, the patient's wife wrote the following: "I feel that you will become as wonderful a surgeon as Dr. Clancy." Wow, that would be hard to ever live up to, but it was probably the single greatest compliment I received during residency. I love this picture of Dr. Swanson operating with Grace. And as you can see, Grace is up on not one but two students. The time on Dr. Swanson's service is such a rite of passage, and it was really one of the highlights of this year for me. One of the former chief residents last year asked Dr. Swanson in so many words why he has such high expectations for us that he does, and I really loved his response, because I give a damn. I have no doubt that you do. Next is Dr. Gates. Dr. Gates has given us all a copy of the Gates Rules, a set of mostly technical and diagnostic tips in surgery and trauma. The list is hung in our call room, and I can assure you that it will be in the wall in the office of any office I ever have. We had a speaker yesterday who made the following claim. He said that to be a great person, you must be first a great human being. And there's also not only the Gates Rules that are written, but there's an unwritten list of Gates Rules that I will carry away from this program. The list tells you how to treat everyone around you, how to behave during an emergency, and always to do the right thing. Dr. Goldberg's one defining trait would have to be his passion. He loves people, he loves his job, and he loves his patients. Everything you do with him is fun. His energy is contagious. He tells me we're like his other children, and he's always been a great friend to me. This is a picture of Dr. Goldberg doing what he does best, multitasking. He's actually in the operating room on the other line, wondering where in the world he is. I want to add a huge thank you to so many attendings that I can't thank one by one, but I've categorized them as patients, as teachers who have really allowed us to do TA cases, meaning take cases with some other resident. A lot of these are Cushing attendings, and that's been a hugely important service for me. And I think that this has been hugely important in all of our training. These attendings get very little recognition for doing this, and I simply want them to know how much it means to me and to all of us. So Dr. Patel, often the voice of reason for me, Dr. Wong, Dr. Shimizu, Dr. Havens, Dr. Riviello, Dr. Saleem. I was lucky to finish my residency a week in the trenches of the Cushing service, Dr. Ascari, and he's the man. Dr. Rogers, Dr. Cooper, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Atani, Dr. Smith, Dr. Shakur, Dr. Gravro, Dr. Goldberg, Dr. Ashley, Dr. Kinney, and Dr. Verzoko. Thank you so much. Speaking of family, and surgical residency, as I mentioned, is a family in many ways. If that's true, then Jenny is definitely my big sister. I've known Jenny since day one of residency, when she was my chief resident of the Cushing service, and she has looked out for me ever since. Here's a picture of me trying my hardest to embarrass Jenny at the protein dinner last night. She's a gifted teacher who carries laughter and joy with her everywhere, and it's true that things are just a lot more fun when she's around. My three big brothers in this program are Carlos Mary, who finished in 2009, Team Havens in 2010, and Genty Cristo in 2012. These three have really been my go-to people for advice and guidance. They've again been beyond great to me. I'm going to keep on calling them too. Next, I have to thank all of the nurses, the 8th floor, the 15th floor, the OR, especially Dee and Laura. But I have to have a special thank you for the 8C and D nurses. I couldn't get pictures of all of them, but pictured here are Beth, Jane, Joy, Heather, Joe, Carrie, and Linda, who gave me this cake yesterday, which is so appropriate because they've literally been feeding me for the last 6 years. There's so many not pictured here, including Nini, who've all been wonderful to me. I'll say about 8C and D that it's a unique place and a special place. It's a high-stress environment. There are a lot of sick patients. And in short, it's an environment that by nature could create a lot of conflict. And somehow these nurses have created a most unique culture of choosing kindness, choosing to teach us, nurture us, and I really love them. This is a photo of the whole group of residents, the rest of the family. Not pictured here are Joy, Susie, Jen, Emily, Laura, and Lynn, PAs, who have also been great to me. I just feel so fortunate to have been associated with this group of people. It's really something to walk into a room of these people and know without question that you can count on any one of them. I'm not sure I'll ever find a group of people like that. Lastly, a huge and special thank you to the interns. It's somehow a surgical tradition to criticize the next generation, their training, and question their commitment. Well, I work with every one of these interns this year. They arrive early, they stay late, they're totally committed, and they have made it this year a heck of a lot of fun for me. So if you ask me, the future of this program and the future of surgery looks extremely bright. I also want to talk a little bit to the incoming interns who are sitting in the back. There are definitely going to be some rough times in surgical residency. You may come home and find that your apartment looks like this. In an effort to find a single clean shirt, you may open your closet door. This may happen. You may be hungry. You open your kitchen cabinet for the first time in a month and find that something has started growing out of a potato. You may just be dog tired. Or you might even catch the flu and throw up in Dr. Brooks's operating room. But for any one good time, there are just so many better great times. Here's some pictures of my original co-intern class. Pictured here are Margarita, Ryan, Emily, and Marisa, who are going to be the senior residents. Interns watch them closely and do exactly what they do. Here's me with Tom on a trip to the beach, with Sam at the Christmas dinner, us at the dinner this week, in the operating room after finishing a case with Kevin. And here's me with Dave running the list in our newly invented scrub shorts. Shorts, as we call them. This year, I was also lucky enough to find Lindsay, who my team knows has been our chief medical consultant, and the time with her has truly been one of the greatest parts of the year. Thank you, Lindsay. So, for the new interns, I just have a few last parting words of advice. In surgery, we love acronyms. So the first is DTRT, do the right thing. You'll sleep better at night if you do. Arrive a little bit early. It's the only piece you'll have during the day. Read a little bit every day. I didn't do that and I wish I had. Exercise a little bit every day, even if you don't have time for it. Most importantly, take total ownership over your patients. The work hour limitations should never change this part of our culture. I know you won't let that happen. Don't give up everything outside the hospital. Don't argue with idiots. It's a waste of your time and theirs. Also important is to apologize liberally. You will be wrong, and apologizing is not weakness. That's what big people do. And finally, LGFD, looks good from door, is never good enough.